It's Thursday, January 15th, and we have another edition of SJHL Insider coming your way, presented by our friends at UPL. Today we have some aftermath of the CJHL trade deadline. 4 games for the middle of the week to break down, and we'll get you up to speed with the standings, some stat leaders across the league, and we're going to be joined by Weyburn Red Wings forward Drew Molde for another edition of our Canterra Seeds Golden Sheaf program, which of course celebrates the connection between agriculture and hockey in the province of Saskatchewan. But first, let's thank our sponsors, and we'll start with Canterra Seeds, of course, as I just mentioned, the Golden Sheaf program sponsor, but then we'll go to Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, our Friday night Spotlight sponsor, by the way. We'll talk about that later, maybe. SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaderstad. And we'll welcome into the show now Jamie Neugebauer as my co-host here. Going to break down everything going on across the league. Jamie, 4 games this week so far, 11 games coming up this weekend. The trade deadline is behind us. The Viking Cup is behind us. We have a lot of stuff to get into, though. How is your week going so far?
Yeah, I'm still so jacked up from the Viking Cup.
I know.
Like, it was so much.
It was
so much fun. I'm really excited to talk to Connor Logan on the Friday Night Spotlight to see some perspective from their 2 guys that were there from the Battleford's North Stars. But just generally speaking, I was talking to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre maybe yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, I can't remember, but we were talking about an impact that I didn't really think about, and I don't know if anybody thought about the Viking Cup. Was obviously those guys are all key players on their team, and are having success, but it was clear to me and to the staff of the North Stars, for example, that Anthony Campbell really took that experience and the juice from that experience and flew off. I'm sure a lot of coaches are like, I don't want my guys to get hurt. I don't want my guys to get tired. They play 20 minutes a night already, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, coaches will be concerned about their players when they're not playing for them, no matter the situation. But
for sure.
I think a lot of these guys have been energized and enthused, and everybody's like, oh, what was it for? Was it a waste of time? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever comes of it, and hopefully there's lots of, eyeballs on it, and guys get scholarships and whatnot. But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think people just so undervalue what's fun and what's good for you as a growing adult, a growing hockey player. That team was so well put together, such a tight team, so well led. Like, I have nothing but good things, so many superlatives to say. And I know it was, 2 weeks ago now, but I just loved it.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that gets lost after you turn like 16 or 17 years old, Nugs, is the tournament aspect of hockey. Growing up, obviously, when you're young, when you're 7, you're 8, you're 9, you're 10, whatever, you get to go to these cool tournaments in different towns and play teams you never, ever will ever play again. And I think that aspect gets lost once you get to the higher competitive levels of hockey. And to have that kind of tournament for these 20-year-olds who probably haven't had a tournament in 6 years, 5 years, if at all, I think it's just a really cool aspect of our league that now we get to reincorporate after years of not doing it. It's a really cool, like you said, it was fun, and I think people need to just kind of take it for what it was, that it was fun, and also a super cool opportunity for these guys to play guys from the Czech Republic. They'll probably never play again. Guys from, Midland and, cool, like a school in the States. So it's cool stuff, and I'm really glad that it went so well for you specifically, but also for the whole team and everything. So there's our another recollection of the Viking Cup.
If you ever want to talk about the Viking Cup, what happened, just hit me up.
Yeah.
We'll DM.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get him going on it.
Awesome.
But also, there's been 4 games this week, so let's get into it now as we hit the hat trick. we were all doing it today. I wasn't even looking at the. I wasn't even looking at the monitor. I was doing like a lasso, cowboy lasso thing, and then I realized I was kind of fist pumping, and then you started fist. That was fun. It's the hat trick, Nugsy, which is when we usually go through 3 of the main topics that we want to cover for the week. Obviously, the CJHL trade deadline has come and gone. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit during the hat trick here. But we obviously, if you missed it, did a huge trade deadline recap show on Monday's SJHL Weekly. So if you really want to hear our thoughts on the deadline itself, obviously it's going to come up because we're going to talk about players having an impact on their new teams and stuff. But if you want to hear like team by team, trade by trade breakdown, head over and check out our SJHL Weekly show from Monday. That'll give it. It was a long show.
It was good though.
It was in depth.
I listened to it back. The whole trade deadline episode specifically. It went really well, and you can find it on its own on SJHL YouTube as well. If you don't want to go through the recap and the players of the week, which you should too, but if you don't want, if you just want the trade stuff, do that. And I actually heard from some, I'll just say Jacob Streetsy, of course, who moved on to Milton, of course, in the OJ.
Right.
And he said that, his players, his buddies were, watching in and listening, and they, they skipped forward, or maybe it was the Insider before when we were previewing it. But anyways, they skipped right to just their team when we were talking about just their team and kind of hearing what we had to say and maybe trying to give hints how much we knew about this and that. But
that was one thing I didn't know if we were going to talk about it, but if you listen back to last week's, a week ago today's SJHL Insider episode, we had heard a couple of things that we weren't sure if they were definitely going down or not. Right. So we were trying to kind of dance around a little bit because we weren't sure if it was going to happen or not. Yeah. And of course, most of them ended up happening. So, but we did our best. Yeah. We were also very kind of excited. So we were like, how do we kind of bring it up, but don't bring it up, but also bring it up, but also don't bring it up. Excited by the scale of what happened is all I meant.
Yeah, it was interesting. And obviously we're the insiders, so we got to know some things.
Got to know some things. But anyways, Monday's show, like Nugsy said, I think there's like a 40-minute or so just team by team breakdown of the trades, what they mean for those teams, et cetera, et cetera. So we did some grading in there. Yep. So check it out on YouTube for sure if you're really curious. But let's dive into the recap of Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll start with Tuesday's games. There was 2 of them. It's the Sask Lotteries look back. And of course, here's the Elk Ridge scorecard. Yorkton Terriers got a 4-1 win over the Estevan Bruins. That was, of course, a division matchup there. And Yorkton, Nugsy, you texted me, they're for real. You texted me after this game, and you're like, Yorkton's for real. So we'll talk about that in a sec. Weyburn with a 6-4 win over the Humboldt Broncos. The young upstart Broncos, we'll say. It's a whole new look team there. And then on Wednesday, 2 more games. Nipawin with a 4-3 win over Kindersley. And man, Kindersley just cannot catch a break. But Nipawin is also very good. So they were in that game all the way to the end. We'll talk about that. And then the Melfort Mustangs, man. Talk about 2 teams in this game, Melfort and Larange, that needed a win. Melfort is the one that ended up getting it. But boy, they needed that win. And a couple of, if you heard about this story, Nugsy, of the monkeys that are on the loose in St. Louis?
I heard it, but you told me about it earlier today. Well, you didn't tell me about it. You said that there are monkeys.
There are monkeys.
And kind of left it at that. And I said...
There are monkeys in St. Louis, and I think that they came from the backs of Drew Mushimansky and Luke McKenzie is what I was trying to get at. I think it was a little bit of a monkey off the back joke there, folks. Gotcha. You don't hear those very often. But let's go back to Tuesday, Nugsy. Yorkton's 4-1 win over the Estevan Bruins. Very impressive win, and a kind of I'll call it a statement win after the trade deadline. Of course, Yorkton loaded up at the deadline, getting 3 defensemen that played in this game. So basically a whole new look blue line. They didn't add any forwards necessarily, so they really upgraded and bolstered their blue line, and they really looked good in this one against a Bruins team that has really high expectations in the second half. Henriksen, Valance, McDonald, Junik with the goals, so not any of the new guys with goals, but Tyler Palin got an assist in the game. Rylan Williams with Esteban's lone goal. What were your takeaways from this game? Because like I said, we had a conversation after and said, wow, Yorkton looked good tonight.
Well, I mean, I love watching Yorkton's power play. First of all, their power play is really in sync and really clicking, and then you add Tyler Palin to that power play, and I think that's just a sweet thing. Obviously, you saw earlier that pass from William Leonard, to Tylen Henriksen, who had a gaping 6x4, and there you go. The last 2 goals for Tylen Henriksen with Drew Kosher in the building, because obviously he scored with 14 seconds.
I don't think
left
Drew liked this one as much.
I don't think he liked this one nearly as much.
No.
And celebrated it nearly as much. But 2 for 4 on the power play. And this one, Yorkton 0.1% behind Flin Flon for the number 1 power play in the league right
Wow.
now. Your Flin Flon's at 25.1 and Yorkton
Power play
at
watch.
25. Power play watch.
That's a new segment we can do.
Yorkton is cruising. They outshot Estevan. They outchanced Estevan pretty heavily. These are 2 teams that play an exciting and fun brand of hockey.
Yeah.
And the Terriers were in the offensive zone a lot. I'm sure Drew Kosher will be scratching his head a little bit. But you do see this, if you want to talk about it just quickly from an Estevan perspective, often after you have a game or a couple games where everything worked and it was all guns a-blazing, and obviously they totally rocked Warman. Let's call a spade a spade.
Sure, yeah.
We've seen it with Canada at the World Juniors and elsewhere. The next game sometimes isn't that easy, habits and details-wise. So I'm sure the Bruins will regroup, but don't take anything away from the Yorkton Terriers. They were absolutely phenomenal. Palin flits right in.
Yep.
Bartha, he'll take some time adjusting, I think, to the difference maybe in pace in the SJHL from where he was in the MJ. But man, yeah, the Terriers, they look really hot right now, and I'm really excited for that Nipawin-Yorkton game tomorrow.
Yeah, wow, that's going to be a really good one. And then, of course, the other game on Tuesday night, the Weyburn Red Wings got a W over the Humboldt Broncos. And like I said earlier, it's a totally different-looking Humboldt Broncos team.
Mm-hmm.
And they fought. They kept it kind of close. It was, 5-2 after the second period, but the Broncos ended up winning the third period. They made a push for it. So what were your biggest takeaways from this game? Obviously, Weyburn right now tied for second place in the league. So they're in a much different spot right now than what Humboldt is. But in saying that, I don't think Humboldt is ready to give up their playoff chances because they're still tied for a playoff spot. So this young team now is a totally different looking team. However, I think they still want to make a push here and see what they can do. And we'll see what they look like in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Humboldt will always have a chance because they've got 2 really good goaltenders, especially Brady Holtvogt.
Yep.
Obviously, they're both 07s, but they're both good. Discipline, late penalties added to the difficulty in sealing the deal in their late comeback. Again, they were coming behind a couple times there. They were behind against Nipawin and had to fight back a couple times, and then here. So it's tough when you're behind the 8 ball and then you're trailing and you're trying to rally. First 2 SJHL goals for Gabriel Kaminsky, by the way. Congratulations for him for Very nice. Humboldt Broncos. And, 2 goal games in a row from the Weyburn perspective for Lucas Schmid. So just timely as well for him. Just the overall pace of the Weyburn Red Wings was a little bit much for this younger Humboldt team, I think, on the night. But certainly, we said it, Clark. We said it in public and in private. This Humboldt team, the way that their roster is constructed, maybe they don't have the one-shot shooter scorers like they did with Streetsy and Miller, but they'll still work. They'll be dogs. They'll work hard. They'll block shots. They'll do what they need to do. There you see the discipline issues maybe coming back to bite them a little bit, but the future still looks great for Humboldt.
Yeah.
And for Weyburn, we were kind of also joking about how they added another pair of brothers now, I guess, because there was the Schrader brothers and obviously Riley Pierce and Callis Pierce.
Different
obviously
spellings.
Not related, but we were joking about it.
Spelling.
But 2, you talk about the Pierce brothers, if you want to call them brothers.
Yeah.
2 of the elite players in our league and 3 points right away for Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, Rylan Pierce.
From the Regina Pats.
I was joking. I texted you that I can't wait for Dylan Fiesel's call when it's Schrader to Pierce to Pierce to Schrader to Pierce to Pierce to Schrader. I can't wait.
And then you have to figure out which one he's talking about.
So Dylan, when you have one of those calls, please tag us and let us know so that we can listen to it and laugh, not at you but with you, Dylan.
Yeah.
I hope he listens to this part of the show.
And one Schrader is a forward, one Schrader is a D, one Pierce is a forward, one Pierce is a D.
So all you need is Schrader
Fun
to be
stuff.
paired with Pierce on the blue line, and then you need the 2 guys on a forward line together. But
Weyburn needed a win too. Couple defeats there to Battlefords.
Sure.
Obviously the publicized one with the shootout loss there for them. So they needed that after the hard road trip in Battlefords, and they got an interesting one tomorrow in Melville.
Well, let's move on to Wednesday then, because like I said, with that win, Weyburn tied themselves for second place with, well, it wasn't at the time. They actually secured second place at the time. But then on Wednesday, last night, Nipawin got another 2 points out of the Kindersley Clippers and got themselves back into that tie for second place. So Nugsy, Kindersley, they didn't punt on the season.
No.
They added, or they shuffled the deck. I won't say they added, because they did move out a few players as well. So they kind of just changed the players in their system. They brought in Bryson Carlisle. They brought in Owen Turner. Those are the two big names, at least, that they brought in. But newcomer Hunter Motley also scored a goal in this game, his first as an SJHL player. So there's that. But at the end of the day, Nipawin came back with a late goal, 2 late goals, I guess, in the third period, but specifically a late goal by Jack Jansen with a minute left in the game to win this one. So a heartbreaker for Kindersley, who I think they need a break here soon, because they've been struggling mightily in the last 10, 11, 12 games here. To get those points that they need to hold on to a playoff spot. They still have, I think, a 3-point cushion, I believe. I think they're in 7th with a 3-point cushion going into the weekend. This one it's a dagger. I feel like it's kind of a dagger to the hands of the Nipawin Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, the Kindersley Clippers have played 4 games, I think, in January, and all 4 of them 1-goal games.
Yeah.
They have lost a ton of 1-goal games, if you want to include all those overtime losses. So, they're obviously right in games, and you look at the roster that they have, they should be right in a lot of games.
Absolutely.
So there's no reason to kind of panic or freak out in Kindersley. But, I mean, they didn't generate a ton. Obviously, we've talked about Nipawin's prowess in the D zone this year has been pretty good. You look at their roster and you think, oh, this team is the power play juggernauts. Their power play has just been okay, and I think maybe the health of the back end and continuity on the back end maybe has a piece of that too with the Nipawin Hawks. All their goals 5-on-5 in this game. Jack Jansen with his first 2-goal game of his career.
There you go.
Which is surprising because it feels like he's been around a while and been a good player for a while. But the Nipawin Hawks, they just find ways to win hockey games. The Nipawin Hawks in 1-goal games, 11-3-1 in 1-goal games. Like, that's pretty good. Obviously, you look at the Flin Flons and the Estevans and the Battlefords, they're up there too. But 11 1-goal game victories is the most in the league. And the Hawks have the most 1-goal games. And so they're comfortable in tight ones, in big ones. And that's the thing I like about the Hawks is they're comfortable no matter what the game looks like.
Yeah, for sure. A very clean game. Only 3 penalties all game long.
Which, again, is something you maybe expect from Nipawin, less so from Kindersley maybe. But
yeah, Brock Evans with 2 penalties and Ashton Tate with a penalty too. So not even your usual suspects, so to speak. And I was also thinking this was the Mason Egan game, you can call it.
Right,
facing his old team for the first time since the trade deadline. So he didn't have to wait long.
Revenge tour.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't have to wait long. He didn't get any points or anything, but I was thinking about that going into the game, the Mason Egan revenge tour. That's funny. But Nipawin, again, with those 2 points, they put themselves back into a tie for second place. So that was a big win for them. But like I said, a heartbreaking loss for Kindersley, who just needs to catch a break here at some point in the next little bit. And then the other game on Wednesday night, talk about 2 teams who need to catch a break. The Melfort Mustangs got a 4-1 win over the LaRange Ice Wolves Nugs. And man, like I said, this must have been, I don't care who the opponent was, this must have been a relief, a weight off the shoulders of more than one person in that locker room for Melfort. But 2 guys, like I mentioned earlier, with the monkey off the back joke I made, the really good one, by the way. It was a really good joke. Drew Mushimansky and Luke McKenzie getting their first goals in the SJHL. So it must feel really good for those guys. I'm sure Trevor Blevins is breathing a sigh of relief for now, getting that win after it's been a while there. It feels like 5 games. I think they were on a 5-game losing streak. So what were your biggest takeaways? There was a lot of penalties in this game.
And not a lot of success.
No, 1 for 14 combined out of the 2 teams.
Tough.
So
I mean, it's tough. For LaRange, you think about a team like that, a young team, they have skill. They need to take advantage of their power plays. I know, sounds like I just got promoted to Captain Obvious, if you want. But their power play has struggled at a level that is just hard to see a little bit this year. And they just got rid of Nikita Kulikov, who was a big part of their power play with that big shot on the wing of their power play too. And you think about Matthias DeZen, they had Oishi, they have Christensen, like not bad D-man either. So I don't know what it is. They just need to figure that out. In the past years, I guess Larange has had sort of individual guys that could make things happen. Obviously, you think about Mason Buchert, you think about Dalen Mannon, but just hasn't really worked out, unfortunately, for Larange this year systematically that way. Same way with Melfort, really. Like their power plays really struggled this year too at 14.9%. You don't really see that too often. Usually, the Melfort power play is humming along. So. Curious, but I'm sure nobody feels better than Mushimansky and McKenzie. I'm sure those guys came in, one with lots of WHL experience, one with an NCAA commitment, thinking we need to be the guys that figure out a way to score big goals for Melfort. Yeah. You talk to Trevor Blevins, you talk to the staff there, like they've created tons of chances. They've played a lot in the offensive zone. Their metrics as a team are not bad at all. Just couldn't get the bounces, but this time they got a few, and you got to start somewhere. You can only beat who's the other team on the other side of the ice, and you kind of go from here. But obviously the hole is relatively big for Melfort. They got 27 points. Melville is on 34, so
yeah,
how big is that gap?
It was a bit of a 4-point. Not day, but 2 days for them since Humboldt lost and they won, which is helpful. You got to get to 9th before you get to 8th. So for them to get a little bit closer now, Melville and Humboldt are tied. They'll be cheering
for Weyburn tomorrow. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, they will be for sure. Humboldt and Melville are tied for 8th place right now with 34 points. But like you said, why don't we? Topic number 2 is the standings. So why don't we just get into the standings? Let's throw those up. We'll kind of get a picture of where we're at. The Flin Flon Bombers in first with 51 points. Nipawin and Weyburn, like I mentioned, tied for second with 47. Battlefords has really jumped up there with 46. They did not play midweek, of course. But tomorrow is the Friday night spotlight for Canalta Hotels. They play the Warman Wolverines. We'll chat with Connor Logan of the North Stars and Brett Pilkington of the Wolverines to get you ready for that game. So make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Canalta Hotels Friday night spotlight. 10 a.m. release time, I should say. So you can watch it all day long if you want. Watch it multiple times all day long if you want. That'd be great. On all the platforms, too. Why not? The Estevan Bruins in 5th place with 43 points. The Yorkton Terriers with 40 points. Again, after that win, it was a 4-point game for them against Estevan on Tuesday because they not only kept Estevan at 43 points, but they gained 2 points on them. So there you go. That's a 4-point swing right there. And here we go. They have a 3 games in hand on Estevan as well. So look out for Yorkton in the next 2-3 weeks because they have a chance to make a little bit of a move here. If the trade deadline moves that they made really pay off, I could see them possibly moving up a couple spots. The Kindersley, again, like I mentioned, their last 10 games, Nugsy, 3-7. So that was what I was trying to get at earlier, is they just need to catch a break because they have a good team, and I'm sure that there's some frustration mounting with the fact that I was doing some research for next week's Game of the Month.
There you go.
SaskTel Game of the Month, which I am now part of the broadcast
congratulations.
team. Thank you, Nugsy.
Happy
of course,
to have
Nugsy and Rob Hart will be on the call. I will be the host/sideline reporter, or whatever, ice level reporter. I don't know what. Host? Just host. But I'll be...
look at these guys right on the ball.
I'll be chatting with some people throughout the game, at least, to give you guys a breather a couple times throughout the game. But I was doing some research, and I looked back at the standings on November 21st, Nugsy. November 21st, the Kindersley Clippers were in first place. The Yorkton Terriers were in 8th place. So that's what I was looking at. I wanted to see how much has changed since November 21st. That was just a random date that I picked in November because I knew Kindersley was near the top, and there it is. Kindersley was in first place. And since that time, I don't know their exact record. Maybe I'll look into that. But it's not what they wanted it to be. We'll just say that. But in the last 10 specifically, 3-7. And so Kindersley just needs to find a break. I'm not sure where that's going to be. I think they have a pretty tough weekend coming up. Well, it's going to be a trip to Larange for 2 games. So the trip itself is never easy. The Larange Ice Wolves never give an easy time on home ice. But if you look at the standings, maybe these are a couple games that they say, okay, we got to get wins here. And you know what? For L'Orange, let's go the other way. For them, this is a couple games coming up where they're like, we got to take advantage of a team that's on a slide.
Yep.
So there you go. Could go both ways if you look at it that way. But anyways, let's bring up the standings really quickly just to cap it off because I didn't get past 7th place. Or the division. Sure, let's look at the divisions. The Bungie division continues to be wild. Love it. Melville's making a push too. Look at their last 10 games. Identical basically to Weyburn in their past 10 games, but they just need to get over that hump and separate themselves for 8th place because they've just been they've been tied or just out of 8th place for like 3 weeks now. So they need to get back in. They're technically in 8th at the moment, but they need to find a way to get a couple more wins and separate themselves a bit. In the UPL division, Flin Flon and Nipawin lead the way by a large margin. Melfort finally got that win that they really needed to get with 20, so they have 27 points now. And L'Orange with 16. And then in the Nutrien division, it's turned into a bit of a one-horse race with Battleford's being as good and dominant as they've been lately. 6-game win streak on the line this weekend. But I'm not going to say that Kindersley's out of it yet because they have shown us that they can be a first-place team. So just got to figure out if that team is still in there or not. And then the Humboldt Broncos, again, they're tied for 8th right now, technically in 9th with 34, and then Warman with 20 points in 4th. So there's our look at the standings. Let's have a look around the league now at some stat leaders. We'll start with the skaters. Again, Ewan Rennie, we talked about this last Thursday. He has separated himself at the top of the leaderboard by 10 points ahead of teammate Rylan Williams. 10 points separating Nugsy. I can't remember what last year's was because I know that there was like a group of 2 or 3 guys at the top last year. And then there was a separation, but Ewan Rennie is right now by himself. Of course, not unhelped by the departure of Jacob Streetsy, but even then, Rylan Williams had more points than Jacob Streetsy when Streetsy was traded. So there would have been some competition there, of course, with Streetsy, but you know who is a competition and is jumping up these charts is the trio from the Yorkton Terriers, Corshane, Leonard, and Zawatsky.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Stop me there for a second.
Who on this list? I don't say surprise. Like I don't mean to insult anybody, but who on this list jumps out at you as being a guy that's like, wow, like he has really impressed you?
Well, all of them. But,
no, but I just mean who, like you didn't expect.
One guy. Well, it's probably Joey Lees, I would say. Simply because
fair enough.
Is there another? There's probably another guy. But,
well, I mean, it was an opinion question.
Joey Lees only because for most of his junior career, he's kind of been like that bottom 6 grinder guy. Now he's first line captain center. It's a bit of a different vibe, and he's doing great. And I only anticipate those numbers to even get better now after the trade deadline and acquisition of Connor Miller.
But we talked about him putting on taking off his glasses,
right? Yeah, he's
or
better,
taking off his contacts.
Better with blurry vision.
Blind in his mic'd up that I made during the Viking Cup. Someone called him blind as a bat or whatever, and he's scoring for fun. So there you go. The guy that I was thinking about was William Leonard.
Okay, fair enough. There you go.
Who's 3 points past his career high already, though. Maybe I shouldn't have been because coming out of the Quebec Junior League, he was over a point per game as a 17-year-old in Quebec Junior A Sioux with Pranceville. So maybe I shouldn't be surprised. And obviously, Emriel also knew exactly what he got out of Leonard. Was going to get out of Leonard, I guess. But this has been, terrific. And that pass that he made there to Henriksen was an elite pass on that Yorkton power play. Really impressive kid, and he's a kid that's exploded for me.
There you go. Well, one guy, too, on this list that I anticipate will also skyrocket, now that he's back from the Viking Cup. I think Anthony Campbell, with the way that Battleford's is playing, the confidence he gained from the Viking Cup, and he was a point per game player last year on a Battleford's team that was not as good as they are this year. I think he's got some games in hand on some guys. He's missed a couple games for whatever reasons, but at the end of the day, I think he's a guy that I could see him with the performance he had these past 4 games, like last week, 9 points in 4 games. 5 goals. Him and Josh Knittig, both 5 goals, 4 assists in 4 games. I could see them having a few weeks like that, and then all of a sudden he's going to be right by the Rylan Williams of that list and the Gabriel Courchaines of that list. I think he's going to hop up really quickly. Now at Battleford's they've got their team, they made their moves, they did what they needed to do. Everybody's back. They're relatively healthy. They have such good depth, and I think because of the depth, I think it's going to open up the ice a little bit more for even their top guys who are getting targeted, but it's hard to target your top guys when you have as much depth as Battleford's does.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, but I could see Anthony Campbell jumping up a little bit. And my fantasy team says thanks.
Yeah.
Because they're already doing pretty good. And if that happens, look out. Let's have a look at the goaltending leaders. I think we have goals against leaders. Let's have a look at the goals against list. As you can see, Charlie Tritt, he hasn't suited up yet for Flin Flon.
He backed
up, but he hasn't started
in
a
the
game yet.
against L'Orange there, yeah. That's the only game they've played since the deadline.
Right.
So.
They only have the one game this weekend, too, I believe. So I'm guessing he'll probably start that game, but we'll see. So he's obviously leading the way. We've talked about that lots this year.
It's a good one. Yorkton's in town.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a great game. We cite some other names on this list, some younger guys. A lot of our 19-year-old starters show up on this list, which bodes really well for next year. But one thing that our graphics director, Kelly Lewick, actually told us, if we can switch over to the save percentage leaders, a lot of the same names, but we can bring it up. He's like, look at these save percentages this year. And truly, honestly, like you got 9 guys that are bona fide, have been at least at stretches during the year, starters in this league. You look at Nathan Cam. He's technically the 1B in Estevan. You look at Matthias Radke. He's the secondary guy in Kindersley, for example. Nate Stevens now is going to be the secondary guy in Weyburn. Preston Patnod now is going to be the secondary guy in Melville. But you see 9 guys with 13 or 14 games played at least, and over 910 save percentage. That's fantastic. It really is a great number to have. And we'll see, like a Preston Patnod in the backup role from Melville. Maybe he even creeps up a little bit more. We could see 10 guys with save percentages 910 or over that have significant roles in this league. Is there anyone on this list that you're like, man, this guy stands out for me?
Yeah, I mean, again, I know Cody really, he wanted to upgrade there, and he brought in Joey Rocha. He was looking at some other options, but that was not at all indicative of Nate Stevens.
For sure.
Just what Nate did. Obviously, Micknick got the praise from that shootout between Weyburn and Battleford's for making 20 of 21 stops in the shootout against that Weyburn team. But how about Nate Stevens, 07 birth year, by the way, making some unbelievable highlight reel saves against a very talented Battleford's team, stopping 19 of 21 shots, and it took a Finley Klippenstein peach of a move to finally break that game, to finish it as well, for Nate Stevens. So, whether Joey Rocha, obviously he's not here. He didn't come from the Western League to be a backup, but I don't know, could it be more of a 60-40 split than a 70-30 split, or even an 80-20 split?
I think that's up to Joey Rocha.
I think it's up to Joey.
Not him saying it.
Yeah, his performances. Yeah. So, but I mean, I think Cody should be extremely comfortable putting Stevens in, just like Mike Reagan is going to be very comfortable putting Finn Werner in big games too, because both those young boys, Stevens in 07, Werner in 08, both of them have proven what they can do. I'm sure Drew Kosher is sitting there thinking, Nathan Cam deserves the same type of props, because he does. Nathan Cam could very well be a Western Hockey League goaltender soon too, but should be a real interesting thing to watch down the stretch. The balance of whether the 1A or 1B or backup or whatever gets certain starts, and which team is the most comfortable with their backups, because you just can't play everybody the same guy every night if you want to be a serious hockey team. And
we've seen time and time again in this league that you really need a tandem in order to have true success in this league. Obviously, once the playoffs kick off, it changes a little bit, but until you get there, if you don't have a good 2 guys, at least, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, but if you don't have a good 2, it's really tough to be truly successful in this league. So if you look at the top, like let's just for example, as a quick look,
it took Doug Johnson to the trade deadline.
Well, and that's why they're
sure
just
he's happy
now
about it now.
they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
You know, but Flin Flon, even with Devin Peck, a solid tandem with him and Finn Werner, and now it's Charlie Tritt. Nipwin with Gage Roberts and Colton Scott, fantastic. Weyburn, Preston Patnod was great at the beginning of the year, just ran into some illness issues, and Nate Stevens was great now with Joey Rocha. So there's your 2 or 3 guys there. Battleford's has now kind of cemented themselves with a good tandem. Caden Serpa though has really ran with it.
They had a great tandem. It's just that Bass left to the Western Hockey League.
Steele Bass was great.
Serpa and Bass was a great combo too.
Yeah. So now it's Serpa and McNick, and we'll see. I'm sure it's so far so good, but we'll see. Estevan, like you mentioned, Dylan Adams, Nathan Cam, solid tandem there. Yorkton with Alejandro Montoya as a rookie has been solid, and Callum
that's
Craig.
An interesting story too, where Emery Lawson thought maybe he would have had to find another goalie because there was a bit of a health scare with Montoya.
Right.
But when Montoya has been in, he's been wonderful too.
He's been solid as a rookie. You know, Kindersley, despite their slide lately, is a great goalie tandem in Brett O'Halloran and Matthias Radke. They've been performing quite well. They've been on the stat leaderboards for most of the year. So that's a good sign. If you have 2 guys, you really need 2 guys. Obviously, it's nice to have a star goalie. Yeah. But if you don't have 2, it's really hard to be a top
Nobody's
team.
doing the like Race Ramsey, where it's just like
right.
If he can breathe, he's playing.
Yeah.
Or like obviously with Spencer Borsos last year. With Notre Dame, for example, like if he could get out of bed at all in the morning, that he's playing, So there's nobody like that in our league, and that's good.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to Nugs. I'm going to let you take this one. The face-off leaders. We have a new name in there.
Yeah.
You want to hit us up with who's in there?
Nathaniel Harvey. Since his arrival from the Q, I just think in every way has been terrific for Estevan. Maybe even the best part of his game is penalty killing. As much as he's got offense, and obviously he's winning draws, and obviously Ewan Rennie is still their number 1 face-off guy. So the amount of face-offs taken for both Miller and Harvey is not the same as Schmid. Keep that in mind. Even though this is still minimum 300 face-offs, Schmid is over 600 face-offs taken, whereas Miller and Harvey are lower. Obviously, Harvey hasn't been in the league the whole year. Stein Dostal is a great centerman, but Kindersley actually had to put him on D because of injury situations at one point. And then obviously Tristan Zayola does take pretty much every big face-off for Melfort. So,
and I don't think that'll change going forward.
And I don't think that'll change. But obviously we got a lot of good face-off guys in the league. 4 guys over 60. That many face-offs taken is pretty impressive for a league. And I still think that Lucas is head and shoulders the best face-off guy in the league. He's been in that number 1 slot on our show all year. And Cody does put him out there in those big moments. And sometimes those guys in the big moments, the coaches know that he's good, but maybe he's 55-56% just because of the volume.
Yeah.
But Schmid has been in those situations and won those faceoffs and has had the volume.
I couldn't believe, because last year during the playoffs, you did basically you gave us numbers. He was 12 for 14 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Lucas Schmid so many times during the playoffs last year was like almost 100% in games. And it's like, dude, what the hell how?
Yeah, it's wild.
That's so crazy. He's so good. So anyways, like you said, the volume and the fact that he's at that number at the volume that he takes is wild. Yeah. All right, topic number 3, just a little bit of fun before we bring in our guest, Drew Molde, who I believe is waiting on the other side of the video chat line. But Connor, our graphic director, I was going to say graphic designer, but not quite. He's the director of graphics. There he is. Can you throw up the standings one more time, the league standings? Because we're going to play a little game of if the playoffs started today for topic number 3. So last Monday we did this. We did this just on Monday, so it hasn't changed a whole ton. But last Monday, or this past Monday, I should say, Flin Flon was going to be playing Humboldt, which, again, would have been insane because of the trade that just happened, which would have been great. But Melville has moved themselves into that 8th spot now, technically. So it's going to be Flin Flon taking on Melville.
You know what's good about Flin Flon Melville is Melville's kind of in the east of our province, so they could just jump on the Manitoba Highway, go up and down. That's not too bad.
Not the worst travel situation. There's been worse.
It could be better, but
it could be better
in terms of southern teams.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Nipawin would be taking on the Kindersley Clippers, so it's the battle of the Mason-Eggen
they just
battle.
played each other.
Yeah, it's the battle of Mason-Eggen.
Yeah.
Weyburn would be taking on Yorkton, so a great Bungie
that would
division
be juicy.
rivalry there.
There's some intensity between Cody and Emery Lawson too, and those teams don't like each other. Obviously, that's been a historic rivalry in the SJHL
Definitely.
just for forever. So that would be really fun.
So that'd be a really good one. And then Battlefords would take on Estevan.
And just talk about Battlefords and Estevan, their offenses.
They would match really
electric.
well. Yeah, like it would be a fun matchup.
It would be fun, yeah.
Because of the way that they play. Also, just thinking back about a decade ago now, when I was working with the Estevan Bruins, we played Battlefords, I think, 2 years in a row in the playoffs. One of them was a Survivor Series matchup, and they beat us both times.
Yeah.
So I, from an Estevan perspective, with that matchup, have nightmares.
Yeah, sure.
But
I don't. And speak. I mean, I don't know if anybody would give Mike Reagan nightmares now, given the roster that he has and the way this team's playing. But
Melville.
But Doug Johnson knows how to game plan against Mike Reagan, because those guys have gone head to head for bazillion times, and. Like
for bazillion, look it up. It's on SJHL.
It's a word. And you go into Melville, and for whatever reason, it is a battle. Like it is a grind. And obviously, the Mills deserve a ton of credit for that. I know they're an 8th, but it is hard to go into that rink and play your best hockey.
They're one of the teams. Like if I were to look at a team this year out of the 12 and say, their record maybe isn't indicative of how good they are or how good they're about to be. Yeah, Melville's that team.
I think of the options that seem like the likely ones, if Fun finishes first, I think Melville's the last one that, if Mike Reagan was being honest with you in a moment, that would they'd be the last team you'd want to see.
Maybe we'll have to interview Mike soon. Well, he's never going to answer that question though.
I don't know.
Off the record.
He's an honest guy. But if I were Mike Reagan, the last one would be Melville for me.
Well, we mentioned this matchup as a potential matchup, Weyburn and Yorkton. And Drew Molde is joining us on the video chat now. And this is a part of the Canterra Seeds.
Go Blue Jays.
Hey, Blue Jays. Do you know something we don't know, Drew? Is there news that's been dropped since we've started recording this? Oh, okay.
No. I was like, Drew, can you jump on the chat a little bit quicker? You had needed to check if Kyle Tucker was signed first, didn't you?
We're all in the same boat today, Drew.
Yeah. We've been just like refresh.
Yeah, pretty much. But we've been recording like all day here today, so it's been a busy day. But Drew, thanks for joining us. Drew is joining us today in part for the Canterra Seeds Golden Sheaf program, which of course celebrates the connection, Drew, between agriculture and hockey in the province of Saskatchewan. We'll get to that in a little bit, but let's start off with Nugsy has not stopped talking about it since he got back from the Viking Cup. So if you can give us your Viking Cup experience, bringing home the gold medal, must have been pretty cool for you, a couple teammates, guys that you know. What was it like for you at the Viking Cup in Camrose?
I mean, it's pretty hard to describe with just words, but it was nothing short of spectacular. It was amazing. You know, just from the moment that we got there, the guys that came on the bus from Regina and Saskatoon, like our billets were there waiting for us, and they were all, I know personally, and lots of the other guys, we had great billet families. It was great that way. They drove us to the rink and whatnot, and just a group of guys, how everybody came together and how we gelled instantly was pretty remarkable. And I don't think I could have asked for a better experience and a better gold medal game. Like Henriksen tying it with 14 and a half seconds left, and then Andrews with the overtime. It was amazing. Something I'll never forget for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I did ask your teammate and fellow Viking Cup attendee, Josh Sale, for a question for you, and he did say, what was your favorite Viking Cup moment? So I'll ask you that. I'll give you mine first, and so you can think about it while I'm answering it. My favorite moment at the Viking Cup was after the gold medal game. We went to Boston Pizza, and we were all sitting there, and the Czechs started singing something, and we started, the SJ people started singing something as well. And so everybody was just singing in a Boston Pizza, and all the families there were like, what is going on? So that was probably like, there were a ton of a million of my favorite moments, but that was my favorite moment of all. What was your favorite moment?
Besides obviously the overtime goal for gold and getting that medal put around the neck, I'd say probably I got a goal in the tournament, and I mean, that felt pretty good for me. So other than that and the gold, I'd say it would be that one. But that after in Boston Pizza, that was something
That was
else. Too.
crazy.
It was
I have a
it
picture.
was fun.
Yeah,
Was there any mini sticks going on in the hallways or anything, Drew? Like, did you guys bring back any old school tournaments traditions at all?
Not a whole lot, just considering we were staying with billets and stuff. But,
Right. Good point. Good point.
We went out with a minor hockey team one morning before, and got to skate around and play a little game with them, and to give back to the community of Camrose was big for everything they did for us.
Yeah,
So it was good.
That's pretty awesome.
And Sam Ward was playing chess while everybody was playing checkers because he two-handed Van Egger, or what was the other way around? Someone two-handed somebody and they fell over, and it was on camera and everything.
Oh yeah,
I forget who hit who, but anyways, there you go. Good times.
Careful. That was the fun part, Drew. And I guess before we get off the Viking Cup stuff, that was one of the things that we were talking about lots and kind of was a narrative around it was you played with Noah Asmundsen. Like, was it like on a line? I mean, was that something for you guys, for you and Josh, playing with Noah at first? Was it like, oh man, or was it like not that? Was it like pretty camaraderie? What was it like for you guys to jump on a line with Noah?
I think me and Sailor were pretty excited. You know, obviously Estevan's a huge rival of ours, and it's kind of like, oh, these are Estevan guys, but we know everybody on the team they were all great individual players, and we had chemistry, our line, everybody did from right when we got there, and I think it worked out well. We weren't really dreading it, I would, if you want to say that, but yeah, we were excited and we played well. It was fun. Asmundsen's a great player, so it was good.
And then the first game back between you guys is going to be interesting. I'm sure there'll be some words exchanged in a nice way. I'm not saying, in a nice way. But Drew, let's talk about your Weyburn Red Wings now. Let's move into the regular season stuff here. Obviously, you guys have been pushing at the top of the standings now for a while, playing really great hockey in the last couple of months. Now you're tied for second place. When you look at your roster now, let's even compare it a little bit to last year maybe, because last year, obviously, the team was full of firepower. You guys made a deep run. Bit of a different team this year, but seems like the results are pretty similar. What can you do? Maybe compare the two teams and just how this team is playing this year.
I'd say as of right now, we're probably more of a kind of a grittier, like we're going to be a little bit more physical this year, which is something I feel that we were out-battled against Melfort last year in the finals. They were wearing us down and stuff like that. So I think adding like Pierce on the new D-man from the Pats, he's a good, solid, pretty big defenseman that's going to be tough to play against. And Rocha from Swift, goaltending. So that'll be big for us for long runs. And I think we're pretty set now. We got a fast forward group, and we can put the puck in the back of the net, and we're gonna come hard on the forecheck, which is something that we're gonna need, and we're gonna be resilient. So yeah, we're gonna want to be a team that everybody else in the league isn't gonna want to play every single night. So that's our goal.
For sure, yeah. And I tell you what, obviously, being from Regina, living in Regina, my wife would definitely be happy if you guys went on a long run there. So I didn't have to go too far away to travel there. Yeah. But I mean, we're not a fan of any team. No question. Nope. I got to ask you, Drew, obviously this is the Canterra Seeds Golden Sheaf interview, so we appreciate you coming on. Obviously, tell us about your family, your agricultural background, if you're family farm has a name, and what it is that you guys specifically farm.
Oh yeah, so my family farm is my dad's side of the family, the Molde farm. So it's 70 kilometers west of Moose Jaw, and then just north of a little small village called Parkbeg, just north off the number one.
That's where my mom was born. There you go. Little fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, I got a lot of family over there. Well, I did. They aren't there anymore. But it's a very, very small town. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. But just kind of everywhere around there is tight. But yeah, north of there, a little bit off the highway. And we have cattle and grain. We farm 150 head cattle, kind of all different. Red Angus, Black Angus, Hereford, all that. And it's mostly my grandpa and one of my uncles and my cousins, we all help out. So just being around that and there, it's kind of taught me a lot, like just values and ethics and respect and stuff like that. It's the importance of community and hard work. It's something that a lot of people don't get the privilege to experience, and something that I get to live, and I'm very grateful for. And yeah, so
there you go. Well, that was going to be my next question, I guess, is I'm from Moose Jaw as well, Drew, originally, but I'm a city boy as they come. Like, I didn't touch pasture until I was like 12. So I don't have that experience. I have a lot of family members that are farm community people, but I don't never really did it myself. What have you been able to grab and take away and take from the farming world, your experiences growing up, being on farms, having family members that you've been able to incorporate into the style of hockey that you play specifically?
That's a great question. I think the biggest things that I've taken away are just, you got to show up every single day. Like it, and I think that translates great into hockey. Is like, a lot of other stuff doesn't matter in order to get the job done. You gotta show up, and you have to work every single day, no matter what. It's an uphill battle, but it's something that I love doing, and I have fun every single day. And yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned, and to just use the support system around you, like community, and just having your neighbors back, or just your family or whatever. Just having each other is just such a huge role, and that ties in nice into hockey. And I think, maybe it might play into my physical, tough, gritty game. So I think it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great answer. I got to ask you too, I mean, what does it mean to you with the faith, I guess, that Cody Mapes has put in you, over the years? Obviously in PHA, you had some points, but you kind of did, a little bit of everything for the U18 prep team there. It seems like a million years ago for you now, I'm sure, but just kind of stuck with you year on year as Cody's building this team, and guys go in and guys come out, and Cody's, let's call a spade, been pretty aggressive, making trades when he's feel like he's needed to and whatnot. But what has it meant to you to be part of this kind of core of guys that he's really hung on to tight, over all these years to build the Weyburn Red Wings, into the team last year that were kind of within a couple wins of winning it all, and then this year where maybe you guys are one of the favorites to win it all?
I think it's huge. It's a big honor, and obviously I'm super proud of myself and the other guys that are kind of in that core group that Cody has put together. But yeah, he starting off my first year, it's tough, being a rookie, and obviously, like you said, I not a huge point getter and stuff. So, getting into games, and just when I did get into games, just making the best of it and working my bag off. So I think that, and just kind of my attitude towards that kind of stuff, just helped for last year and getting more PK and more ice time overall. And then I was starting to get it trusted more. And over summer, we kind of established this core group that we had, that we knew would work towards the cup, towards a championship, that we'd do anything and everything to get this championship. So I think it's great that he's put this trust into us, and I feel like we've stepped up to the plate pretty well so far. I've definitely gotten a lot more goals than usual. So it's great to have this opportunity, and for him to be able to put that trust in us and know that we can perform. So, yeah.
Do you remember the last year you had this many goals? You have 13. Do you remember the year that you had this many goals in a season?
No.
It was with the Lakeland Panthers U15.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Bantam AA.
Yeah, Bantam, yeah. So, hey, awesome. Good for you. And obviously very useful player. I want to ask you a kind of philosophical question, because every time I've talked to you, I'm like, I think this guy might be more mature of a human being than I am. So I'll give it my best shot here, Drew. I got to ask you about, I guess, the perspective, just obviously in the finals last year, you mentioned it was a real battle, and that Melfort team, as a unit, they played so well. And I don't need to tell you, because you were on the ice against them, you had to deal with that. But you guys gave and you were right in every game. You guys fought tooth and nail with that team that we gave all this credit to, and you guys deserve a ton of credit for that too. In that moment when you were in the finals last year, just talk about maybe how your upbringing, your family helped you have a perspective that kind of kept you kind of even keeled, kept you guys fighting game after game. Even though like the results were going against you, and how maybe even from that did you learn and grow to have a good perspective, a helpful perspective to build the Wings, into the team they are this year.
That's a good question. But yeah, obviously you're right. Like what you said, it was tough in the playoffs. Just playoffs are hard. It's lots of games in a short amount of time, and they're hard fought games every single night. That you're going in, and it's no matter who you're playing, that everybody's giving 100% every single shift. So that like preparation and stuff away from the ice, that kind of stuff is huge. So you got to make sure that like the weeks leading up and days leading up that we're like personally that your nutrition is right and sleep and that kind of stuff away from the ice. But just when you get to the rink, like having a belief in yourself and each other, knowing that each guy next to you is gonna go out there every single shift and work towards what we're here to do, and which is to win a championship. So I think even when it does get tough, there's lots of injuries in playoffs too, usually that kind of stuff, which, you got younger guys sliding in for maybe other guys' spots, but working through that adversity and just letting that, or just being able to use the adversity as an opportunity to get better and work through it, I think is huge. And just, that's kind of how I was brought up and how I was taught since I was young. So I think just being able to lead and hopefully help these other guys, help the younger guys, and this core group that we had, like we previous question kind of talked about, we were all in this run last year. So we all know what we got to do, and we got to use that experience and all that good stuff to hopefully get to win the championship this year. So.
Yeah, for sure. Great answer to a hard question. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Last one from me. Really appreciate your time, Drew. Could talk to you for hours, clearly, and hopefully we'll get the chance again. But when the first practice we got to Camrose, everybody I guess had bus legs, and it was an interesting practice that first day. I was like, what is going on? But anyways, it was understandable. You guys were just on a bus for 7.5 hours. Yeah. But I was like, I saw Josh Sale skating around from kind of ice level, and I was like, wow, he is legit fast. And I texted Cody and I said, wow, Josh Sale is super fast. And he's like, yeah, and Drew is just as fast. And I was like, okay, so clear it up. Who is faster, you or Josh?
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Do you guys have like a skills competition or anything this year where you guys can test it out?
No, we do like a Calcutta shootout every year, but we don't do the skills like some other teams. But honestly, I don't know. It kind of from a standstill or just probably Sailor. He's a quick guy. And especially when he gets going, he's a good player. He's special for
overtime
sure.
Gold medal game, overtime winner.
Assist.
People forget about how Josh just skated by everybody on skate before, and then a beautiful shot in stride. So
right. There you go. Well, Drew, 2 big games this weekend. We'll let you get back to work. Melville tomorrow night and Melfort at home on Saturday. So good luck this weekend. And like Nugsy said, I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys very much.
There you go. Drew Molde. Wow, that was great. Again, the Golden Sheaf program presented by Canterra Seeds, celebrating agriculture and hockey in this province. And that was a great chat, great look into the agriculture side of his life, but also some really good insights there on this year's Weyburn Red Wings roster there, Nugs. Some big games, 11 games this weekend, Nugsy. So why don't we dive in now to the schedules for the weekend. Let's have a look at Friday, and we will get you guys out of here and on the go. Melfort is in Estevan on their little southern road swing that they're doing. So they'll take on the Bruins Friday night. I think it's Weyburn Saturday night, like I mentioned. Weyburn will be in Melville on Friday night. That's a great Bungie Division matchup. And like we talked about earlier, on the verge of potentially a playoff matchup. So keep an eye on that one maybe. The Yorkton Terriers take on the Nipawin Hawks, another one that is literally a point away from possibly being a playoff matchup. So keep an eye on that one. The Battleford's North Stars. This is the Canalta Hotel's Friday night spotlight, folks. The Battleford's North Stars are in Warman to take on the Wolverines. So watch for that.
I'm so excited!
Yes, thank you, Bryce. I am excited because it'll be on all of our social media channels tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You can watch that pregame show for that game. And it'll look, of course, another look around the league. And then the Kindersley Clippers are in La Ronge for a 2-game set. La Ronge plays 3 games this weekend, but Kindersley's up there for 2. So let's have a look at Saturday, because again, like I mentioned, Kindersley at the bottom there in La Ronge. But Humboldt will be in Melville. Melfort's going to Weyburn to take on the Red Wings. Warman and Battleford swap locations for a home-and-home series. And then Yorkton is up in Flin Flon for a battle against the Bombers. That's going to be a good one, too. Keep an eye on that one. And then Sunday, an afternoon matinee in La Ronge. Those Yorkton Terriers are not done yet. They both they play their 3rd game in 3 nights. La Ronge plays their 3rd game in 3 nights. And that time should say 3 p.m., not 7 p.m. Bryce, maybe just make a note of that. It's probably too late, but make a note of that for when we do other stuff. Nugsy, what are you looking forward to this weekend? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I've loved the Canterra Seeds, or the Canalta Hotels party. I've loved Canterra Seeds too.
Yeah.
The Canalta
Great
Hotels
guys.
Friday Night Spotlight presented by IKS Media. I've loved doing that series, just focusing on a specific matchup. And, you know, obviously, like, there are certain kids on Warman that I've known for a long time and, you know, love to talk about them. So I'm excited to talk about them again. And then, obviously, that the Battleford's North Stars, you know, over the years, for whatever reason, Battleford's and Warman/Notre Dame have provided some great drama. Last time out, it was a great game as well, over shootout game and stuff. So I know it's, you know, people are looking for some of those high-profile ones, and that's fair enough. But this Friday Night Spotlight is going to legitimately be really good at the Warman Home Center Community.
Excited. And Nugsy, for those who are still listening at this point in the show, I got some breaking news. Do we have like a noise thing?
Is it the Estevan news?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Estevan Bruins. Thank you. Breaking news for those who are the 4% of people who are still listening at this point in the show. Nathan Cam, Nugsy mentioned it literally 15 minutes ago on the show, that he's good enough to maybe be in the WHL.
Yeah, well, I didn't know the news when I said that.
You didn't know the news. Yeah. He just got called up by the Kelowna Rockets. Now, he had been with the Kelowna Rockets earlier in the season and had been sent back to Estevan at one point. So I don't know if this is long-term or not, but either way, for the next little bit at least, Nathan Cam is a member of the Kelowna Rockets. So Estevan is down to Dylan Adams, and I'm sure that they'll use their AP goalie, because I know the Bears. I think the Bears have a goalie that they've used
Brady
before.
Carr, yeah.
Brady Carr,
been solid when called upon.
But don't the Bears, the Estevan Bears, also have a goalie? I think that they've brought up once or twice, maybe in the last little while. Anyways, doesn't matter. But they'll be fine. And Dylan Adams, obviously, more than capable of running with it if he has to as well. So just some breaking news if you're still listening at this point in the show. And with that, I think we will call it a day. Nugsy. 11 games this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels to get all the coverage, all the highlights, the recaps, everything. SJHL.ca, all of our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Flow Hockey subscription, of course, and right here on YouTube, we got you covered. Nugsy, for you, for me, for Bryce, and for Connor, and is Steven still hanging around back there? I think he is.
Steven!
There he is. Yes. Has Kyle Tucker been signed yet, Steven? Yes or no? Because he's wearing a Blue Jays sweater today. No. Okay.
Negative.
Okay. Well, Kyle Tucker watch remains for the rest of the weekend. We'll see how it happens. Maybe right after we hit stop, he'll sign. So let's hit stop, and we'll see you guys on Monday for SJHL Weekly, and tomorrow morning for the Canalta Hotels Friday Night Spotlight. Bye for now.